and salts. Exercise question 7. So the question here is, why does distilled water not conduct electricity whereas rainwater does? The availability of ions is very important to conduct electricity. So if you remember or if you recall the previous question where we discussed that HCl or hydrochloric acid is able to conduct electricity, however, other compounds such as alcohol and glucose were unable to conduct electricity in spite of having the hydrogen atom within it. So why do you think that happened? Like, what was the difference between HCl and the other two compounds? Yes, you are right. HCl was able to dissociate the H plus ions. However, alcohol and glucose was unable to do so, and thus the electricity or conduction of electricity was happening in HCl while it was absent in glucose and alcohol compounds. So now you know that availability of ions is very important. You can see that these ions are the reason why conduction of electricity actually happens within the solution. Next, distilled water is pure type of water which do not contain any ions in it. So you can define distilled water as the water which has nothing except water, right? See, the normal tap water we actually get, or the normal or any other water like river water or you can say sewage water, they have different contaminants within them. Like even the tap water we have or we get isn't actually pure. The purest form of water is nothing but distilled water. Okay. Now, this distilled water, because it is pure, it do not contain any ions within it. So because they do not contain any ions, they do not conduct electricity. So now I hope the first part of the question is quite clear. Distilled water do not conduct electricity because they do not have ions or they do not have any other ions within it, right? Next, rainwater contains dissolved gases such as CO2 and SO2, etc. So what is CO2? Yes, it's carbon dioxide, and SO2 is sulfur dioxide, right? Now, rainwater contains these dissolved gases within it. They dissolve in the atmosphere. Okay, now we know that atmosphere has carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen gas, and so much. Like air is a mixture of different gases, right? So these gases dissolve in the rainwater, and because it dissolves, they have a high chance to it increases the chance to have these ions within it. Okay, within the rainwater. These gases on dissolving in water form acid like carbonic acid, etc., which dissociates to give ions. Okay, so these rainwater, okay, so now you know that CO2 and SO2 are dissolved in rainwater, right? Now after the dissolve, they form some different acids such as carbonic acid and whatnot, and these acids dissociate. Now because they are acid, we know, right, any acid dissociates to give H plus ions. So carbonic acid, similarly carbonic acids and other acids formed dissolve and dissociate to give the H plus ions, and because they give these ions, it is able to conduct electricity. So the major difference between distilled water and rainwater is that distilled water is the purest form of water, and so it do not contain any ions within it. However, rainwater isn't that pure, like it has some impurities like CO2 and SO2 gases, and these gases react with water to form some acid, and these acids give out the H plus ions, okay, or give out ions, just simple ions, and because they give out ions, rainwater is able to conduct electricity. Okay, lastly, rainwater is conducting electricity while distilled water is not conducting electricity. So I hope this question was clear. In a nutshell, you can see that distilled water being pure has no ions within it, and availability of ions is a crucial point to conduct electricity within any socket. So you can see that distilled water hence do not conduct electricity, while rainwater has dissolved gases within it, and these dissolved gases form acids such as carbonic acid, which dissociate to give out ions, and because of the presence of these ions, rainwater is able to conduct electricity. However, distilled water is unable to do so. So that's all about the question. I hope you understood it. Keep learning. Thank you.